representative of the Honorable Commissioner for Information, Rivers State, Pastor Paulinus Insuri, in the person of Ibiwari Clark Tinubolo Esquire. Please put your hands together for him. I would like us to be informed that this program is streaming live on Facebook. So put on your best smile and don't be caught napping because it will go live and viral. So thank you very much for that. NOA Rivers State. NOA Rivers State on Facebook. Once you go to Facebook, NOA Rivers State, you can stream live too and share so that the program will go viral. Thank you very much. Once again, we'll tell you that drug abuse, as it were, has implications for national security, economic development, and it also borders on the high degree of crime and criminality that has been recorded in society. What can be done, what will be done, what should be done, what is being done. I think going forward in that area, we would like to hear from the agency that is saddled with the responsibility of curbing and reducing demand for drugs in Nigeria, as well as arresting those who go against the law regarding drugs. So please put your hands together as we make welcome the representative of the commandant of the NDLEA. Once again, Adeyinka Oyeniran is representing Mr. Umar Aliwada. Put your hands together for him as he gives his program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Once again, I want to stand on the existing protocol. I bring greetings from the state commander, who is unavoidably absent. He had to go for a meeting with the chairman, chief executive officer in Abuja, and he has delegated me to take up this responsibility. His warm regards he sends to the director and everyone present. My name, once again, is Adeyinka Oyeniran, Chief Superintendent of Narcotics. Just as the director, the state director has told us, the topic, the combating drug abuse and violent extremism. That's what we're quickly going to talk about in a few minutes, and we'll be able to see what the agency is doing, what it has done, and how every one of us can partner, because the scourge, the fight against drug abuse, it's not only the agency that can handle it, but it's something that every one of us have to put our hands on deck. And as you listen, I encourage us, let's take the points that you can work with in your own space. And I know that that little that you are doing will go a long way, will go a very, very long way. So, as introduction, drugs have historically been linked with human violent behavior. So everywhere from time immemorial, drugs, one way or the other, has always been linked to one form of violence. And drug use and mind-altering substances have been widely reported in violent crimes. Most violent crimes, when you find out the stressor or the push from the criminals or those who perpetrate those crimes, you will find out that they use this substance to enhance whatever activity, whatever nefarious activity they wanted to perpetrate. So that's why drugs is closely linked with violent extremism. And I want to tell us this morning that drug abuse and drug addiction are risk factors for experimenting with violent extremism. So some people even take drugs, and as a result of that, because of the addiction, they begin to experiment. And from experimenting in violence, extremism, it now culminates into the real thing. So, as we go on, so what is drug? To a layman, drug is just any medicine. To the medical practitioner, drug is a chemical substance that is used for diagnosis, treatment of illnesses or any disease. But in the NDLA, we term drug to be any substance, whether natural or synthetic, that is used, whether natural or that individual. So a drug can be synthetic, which means it can be produced in the lab, or it can be natural. As we go on, you will see or you will hear of the natural type of drug. Now, what is drug abuse? Simply put, drug abuse is when a drug is being used in a manner that deviates from medically approved or socially accepted patterns. Just a very, very simple, straightforward definition of drug abuse. Whatever drug, whether be it the paracetamol, if you do not use it as prescribed by the physician, you are abusing that drug. For example, you are asked to take 2 tablets in the morning, 2 tablets in the afternoon, that particular drug. So let's take note that we should do everything with abuse that we want to talk about. We have the first one, which is called the controlled or prescribed drugs. The controlled or prescribed drugs. The second are prohibited or socially acceptable drugs. Let me quickly talk about each of them quickly. Or prohibited by legislation, but from a doctor, and it must be dispensed by a licensed pharmacist. It must be dispensed by a licensed pharmacist. So what type of drugs are we talking about here? For example, one of those drugs is diazepam, tramadol, rohypnol, suinol. This drug, usually it is placed in the poison box in the pharmacy. The second type of drugs of abuse are the prohibited substances or the prohibited drugs. Now, these prohibited drugs are the substances that the law of the land has said these drugs are illegal, and they have made laws to prohibit the use of these drugs for any purpose, most especially for recreational purpose and intoxication. Now, what are these drugs? What are the examples of these drugs? Cannabis sativa, which is popularly called Igbo, or weed, or ganja, depending on the area. And the new one that seems to, though not new, but is really coming up, is methamphetamine, which in the local palace is called ice, or mkpurumiri. That is the Igbo name. That ice is the methamphetamine is being called. So it's prohibited. Now the third are the gateway or socially acceptable drugs. Now these gateway and socially acceptable drugs are drugs or substances that are not banned or prohibited and are socially accepted. For example, cigarettes, kola nut, even our coffee, so to speak. So, but these drugs, they can be a gateway for an individual to move to the next level because they give some semblance feeling of the prohibited and the controlled drugs. Now, what are the factors responsible for drug abuse? Generally, one of them, ignorance. Someone told me his young cousin lost his life as a result of ignorance. His friend told him, if you take tramadol, you will get smarter. And he took. Unfortunately, long story short, the young boy of about 16, lost his life. He didn't know. And that's what ignorance caused that young man. Another cause, among many, peer group pressure. Thank God that students are here. Don't let anybody push you to doing drugs, because it is a highway that you may never be able to recover from. Peer group pressure. Another point is curiosity and experimentation. You may want to try. Let me see how they say it is. It makes you high. Let me try it. I encourage you, don't try it. Like I said earlier, it's a highway that can lead you to a road that you will never recover from. Then inadequate parenting and family disintegration can be responsible for drug abuse. Availability of these drugs, the fact that it is available everywhere, is also a major factor. Stress. Some people want to relax. Let me take this drug to make me relax. And as you begin to take it to relieve your stress, you become addicted to it. Quest for fame quest for fame and wealth could also be responsible for drug abuse. All these and many more could be responsible for drug abuse in our society. Now, what are the consequences of drug abuse generally in our society? They are majorly three. One, physical and health consequences. Physical and health consequences. When we abuse drugs, the first thing it will do physically to you is that it begins to damage your brain and every of your internal organs. Every one of them. Your heart, your lungs, your kidney, your pancreas. Every organ in your body begins to degenerate the moment you begin to abuse drugs. And of course, as those organs begin to degenerate, you can be sure, if you don't stop on time, that may lead to death. High blood pressure and increased or irregular heartbeat. That's another physical consequence. Respiratory failures, heart attack, dangers to unborn babies during pregnancy. Some pregnant women, they begin to abuse certain type of drugs and eventually deforms or affects the fetus or the baby in their womb. Drug users also can easily contract STIs, HIV, hepatitis. Why? Because of their dangerous sexual behavior or the use of sharing needles. Because some of the drugs are ingested, so they begin to share those needles. So the moment one of them has that STI or HIV, it can easily be transmitted. The second effect is the second consequence is the psychological consequences. psychological consequences. One of these are emotional instability. When you begin to abuse drugs, your emotion it's never stable again. Why? Of course, it has started to affect your brain. So your emotion is not stable. Anxiety, memory loss, hallucination. Now you hear people say, I see the sound and I hear colors. Hallucination. They say they hear voices telling them to do this, telling them to do that. It's as a result of substance abuse, and that would eventually lead into violent behaviors. Aggressive tendencies. They become very angry easily. At any slight provocation, they become very, very angry. Then impaired judgment. That's why we also collaborate with the Federal Road Safety that drivers should not abuse drugs. Alcohol is part of the socially acceptable drug, but they should not abuse it because it's not only their life, but the lives of those passengers they are carrying and even other road users could be at risk. The third consequence is the socio-economic consequences. One, low productivity. Low productivity for employees. They become very, very, they don't do their work as they should. They become lackadaisical in their work attitude. They become negligent, and even that would cause a lot of accidents in their workplace. Poor academic breakdown and family breakdown among drug abuse couples. Disharmony between parents and children. Violent and destructive tendencies such as cultism, thuggery, kidnapping, killings, senseless killings, theft, armed robbery, rape, and every form of violent activity. Child abuse, especially parents who abuse drugs. Child abuse, parents who abuse drugs will eventually take on their child. Rape, incest. These are some of the socio-economic consequences of drug abuse. Then exposure to sexual abuse and prostitution. It has also been noticed that very many commercial sex workers indulge in the use of drugs. For those that I've interacted with, they said to reduce the pain and also to block out the emotion. So these are some of the socio-economic consequences of drug abuse in our society. In the broader terms, the effects of drug abuse will now include the increased healthcare spending by you and family members. Money that you are expected to use for other things, you are now using it to combat, to try to rehabilitate, to try to solve issues that case, the drug abuse case, has brought into the family. Drug abuse fuels violent crimes, which make the environment unconducive for viable economic growth. Then illegally acquired drug money is laundered into the society, and it causes an economic imbalance. Now, relationship between drug abuse and violent extremism. Drug abuse fuel crime. Why crime will fuel the crime? Crime will motivate drug abuse. So drug abuse has been strongly linked to spate of senseless killings, armed robberies, cultism, kidnapping, domestic violence, rape, and other kinds of crime. And from the statistics that we have, most, they become so calm and tell you that they were high on a substance. And you ask them why, they will tell you to embolden them, to motivate them, to encourage them, to deal with the crime that they want to perpetrate. 60% of our to take out drug from the society, we are able to reduce. Now, combating drug abuse and violent extremism in our state, Rivers State, the NOA and the drug demand reduction. The drug supply area, which empowers us to arrest, seize, and assault. The laws empower us. When we arrest, we conduct our investigation, we prosecute. And in our law, we have, let me just quickly highlight to us that offenses relating to unlawful exportation, importation, manufacturing, processing, producing, consumption. A sentence is a sentence of not less than 50 prescribed for offenders of unlawful possession, purchase, and usage of hard drugs and psychotropic substances, tampering with drug exhibits, of permitting the use of premises for drug-related offenses. So, peradventure, you have a building or you have a premises, and you are permitting the use of drug activities in that facility, you can be liable. We help in the treatment, rehabilitation, counseling, follow-up, and aftercare of drug-dependent persons. Where we counsel them to life if they decide to leave the habit of drug use. So our facilities are open. There are other private facilities. The government facilities are there to help to rehabilitate so that we can reintegrate these persons back into the society. In fact, drug addiction, we see it as a sickness, just like malaria. We see drug addiction as such. So they are treated. They can be treated. So we don't actually call them drug addicts again. We call them drug dependent persons. Drug dependent persons. They can be cured. They can be cured if they follow through the rehabilitation processes. Now, what are the techniques for our students and our young ones, and for us parents, guidance that we can take home to those? What are the coping skills and the techniques to prevent drug abuse? Number one, never allow anyone to cajole you. Never allow anyone to cajole you. That, take it. It will make you brilliant. It will make you high. No. And let your no be assertive. Your no, stand on it. Don't say no. No, be assertive. The second point, get involved in healthy pastimes. Sometimes we have leisure times, we feel we are not doing anything. Don't have a pastime that you are not doing anything, because you can be robbed. Get involved in religious activities, get involved in sports, get involved in recreational activities, get in learning other things, reading books. I encourage our young ones, deep of reading, learn musical instruments, learn learn handwork, crafts. All these can help and guide you against drug abuse. Avoid friends who are into drugs, and avoid areas, places where drug activities take place. so that you don't fall into temptation, because a trial may consume you. A trial with drug may consume, or you know anyone who is already drug dependent. Seek help from NDLA. NDLA is open. We have that facility. You can come to us. Our rehabilitation facilities are available. It's open. And not only ours. Like I said earlier, the government, state government, the federal government, and other private facilities are available to help, to rehabilitate, to treat, and to reintegrate the person back into the society. Then report every activity where you see anywhere drug activities are being perpetrated, and report it timely. Like it is being said, when you see something, say something. Report it to appropriate authorities, report it timely, so that we quickly act upon those reports. In conclusion, the prevalence of drug abuse and trafficking and the inherent health and socio-economic problems associated with it has created an obvious need for mass action against this menace. The war against drug and drug abuse is best prosecuted when we all work together, and most especially the youth are involved and committed. The youth are actually the most vulnerable group who could be lured into drug abuse. And as such, with drug abuse, they become violent because they have that energy and they are vibrant. So, I encourage us youth, let's get involved in speaking against drug abuse. Let's get involved. Now, it's an holistic thing. NDLA alone cannot fight drug abuse. It involves all the stakeholders. And who are the stakeholders? Individuals, school, business persons, corporate bodies, civil societies, the government, non-government organizations, and the mass media. Every one of us, we are involved. And when all of us do our little part, do our little quota, it becomes one, and we aggregate everything together, we will find out that we have really gone far in fighting this drug menace in our state here, and by extension in the nation. Like they say, a ripple keeps cascading. Don't say this thing I'm doing, it is insignificant. No, it is very significant. When you tell somebody, don't do this, it goes a long way. It stays in the mind, in the heart of that young person. And in time, he or she will look back and remember that as a result of that warning you have given him or her, he was able not to get involved in drug abuse. When you see something, like I said earlier, please say something. So I want to encourage us. I pray, while I pray that your participation in this program will enable you make positive choice that will impact positive in your life and in the society at large. I urge you all to say no to drug abuse. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief Superintendent of Narcotics, Adeyinka Odeniro, for that very elaborate keynote address. Please put your hands together for him once again. I think he did a good job. My takeaway is that drug abuse is a sickness, but the good news is that it's an avoidable one. So I ask that in continuation of the effort of the NDLEA, other stakeholders will do the needful to assist. And everyone in this room is a stakeholder. So going forward, we'll be taking goodwill messages from other stakeholders. We will begin with Mr. Ogaga Simon of the DSS.
Good morning, sir. All protocol duly observed. I would just want to say a few things about drug abuse. Most of the arrests or most of the cases we've handled are all related to crime, and we know that drug is one of the things that have actually prompted these people, giving them mind to carry out some of these crimes. So, a collaborative gathering like this, talking about drug abuse, will go a long way to enlighten the society about the menace of drug abuse in the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ogaga Samuel. Going forward, we will take a goodwill message from the representative of the Civil Defense Corps, DCC Egbeyomi Shegun Augustine. Please put your hands together for him.
Good morning, sir. I want to use this topic. I want to stand on the stage. My family to use this word. My guy talked that not with the idea, he's not here now. So just take us. We all know what is in town. He's there too. We are there. We know that what would I take it for? When I have a lot of things that I'm battling with, is it school fees I want to talk about, or feeding of children, or all those things? So those responsibilities are there for me to battle with. But they have nothing they are thinking about. So they can easily be cajoled, they can easily be convinced. So I will encourage you to do more. Because we need it. We need this occasion. We need this type of. In fact, I saw that most of us here are handled you. Sir, next time, bring them. Let's look for a very big place now. When do we start doing it? Because already it has gone beyond what we can. In fact, we have to put all efforts in reorientating them, that they should move away from it. Those that are already in it, thank God my brother, the drug people, we know they are doing their best. And there are some occasions we've assisted, they know we synergize, we assist them in doing all these things. When we make arrests, we hand over to them. And we considering the Untitled period coming up. In fact, this occasion is very, very prompt. And we have hopes, we have electioneering campaigns. They will begin to use this voice. And we know what they use, their oil, their petrol, their drugs. Because they don't do these things with ordinary guys. They do it when they are energized. When they take in all these things, they begin to mislead, to kill. Without considering the consequence, they kill, they take human lives. But we in civil defense, we are ready. Anytime we are called upon, anywhere you want us to be, we are always there. We know we have our core mandates, but we have other mandates too. We have to collaborate with other people, we support, play supplementary role. Anywhere we want us to be, call us, we'll be there. Whether in orientating them, we'll be there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DCC Egbeyomi Shegun Augustine. I will take the position of the police on this drug issue. We'll be hearing from DCP Longe. He is in charge of the state CID. He's representing the commissioner of police, Friday Ebuka. Please, sir, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, sir. The last study on the existing processes already established. Well, this seminar is timely, and I think it's very, very important that we all come together and talk about this menace of drug in our society. But my personal opinion, we need to go beyond the seminar of this sort. Probably we need to do a lot of more advocacy to members of the public. Drugs and the use of drugs has taken a different dimension in this country. Not just taking cocaine and other substances now, but poo of animals, lizards, petroleum products are part of this stuff. Maybe it's as a result of unemployment with a resultant effect on rise in crime. So I will implore you to do a lot more in terms of reaching out to schools, getting government to do the needful by engaging our youths in the productive venture. Virtually all the farms all over Southwest, Southeast, you have cannabis all over the place. I learned it's more economical planting cannabis than planting maize or whatever. But nevertheless, the police is always ready to assist and do whatever.
Very much hearing from the police. When you hear of the police, you think of things about investigations and all that. You think about stop and search. So I'd like us to stop now and search. NOA, this program is live now. It's streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So we have stopped. You bring out your phone and you search for NOA River State, NOA River State. You go live and you can also share it with your contacts and friends on social media so they benefit from this, because at the end of the day, it's going beyond this room. We want to push this message to as far as it can get, because the menace of drug abuse is one that we have to address frontally. So we have stopped. How many of us are searching? NOA River State, NOA River State, YouTube, Facebook, NOA River State. You search, you see this event is streaming live, and you share. While we are at it, we have taken reactions and contributions from mostly the security sector. Well, let's come a little to the civil population so that we'll get what we are doing and what we can do. To begin with, we'll start with a trainer with the Nigerian Red Cross, Mrs. Blessing Chilaka, a trainer, to tell us the bit of the Red Cross in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon all. I don't understand Red Cross. I don't have much to say, but just to let us know that we'll have a youth wing in the Red Cross Society where we'll handle all these issues. I was a one-time coordinator of a program called United to Violence Projects. All we do is a kind of rehabilitation project where we try to bring youths who are into swimming vices and try to give them a new mindset for them to start life afresh. But I want to tell us something this afternoon in this room. It begins with us, the parents. Everything starts from the home. If we are good parents, our children will not involve in all the vices that we're talking about. Maybe the drug starts with us, the parents. Most times we are the ones that even start drug abuse with our children. A child is sick. You go and tell the child, go and take paracetamol. That even the child not knows to take. Before you know it, becomes a lifestyle for that child. Each time he has pain, he wants to go and get drugs. It becomes a lifestyle. And then I want to thank you for this timely program. It's indeed time, like the CSB said. It should not end on this round table. Let us go out of the slums. That is where we have these guys. The waterfronts, there are so many there. Of recent, I got in contact with a child. I was coming out to see my grandma from that thing behind the road for service. I saw him with a substance. I thought this. He said, "Popo." I said, "What is Popo again?" He said, "Somebody sent him to go and get it." That's why I understand that they even need the smoke what they call Popo these days. So if we don't go down to those areas, how will they know these things and change from it? So if you want some of us here to go down, not only on this table, not speaking English, let's get down to the ghettos where this menace is on high, rising. If we can do that, this festive period will cover a lot of this the last. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trey and Blessing Chilaka. She said it should go down to the ghetto. At the moment, we are not at the ghettos, but we'll be going there. However, there is network in the ghettos. So just put NOA River State, share it. I believe someone in the ghetto will see it. Thank you very much. We would like to call on Garkuwa Youth Organization, because we've been hearing that it's a youth, basically a youth menace, or rather a youthful behavior, drug abuse. However, the menace is on society at large. So Garkuwa Youth Organization will be talking about the role they are playing and what they think can be done in combating the menace of drug abuse in our society. I'll be calling on Alhaji Adamu Wada, who is here representing Garkuwa Youth Organization. They represent the 19 northern state residents in River State. Thank you. Please put your hands
in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I remain Alhaji Meoda Adam. I am the Assistant Secretary of Garkuwa Youth Organization. This Garkuwa Youth Organization is representing the entire 19 northern states, including Abuja resident in River State. This Garkuwa Youth Organization, apart from the organization itself, we have our security agency. That is one. Okay. We appear in green, and we also appear in black T-shirt and black jeans and canvas with black face scarf. In the back of the shirt, they wrote Garkuwa Youth Organization. We operate on the security field. We operate with the security agency. We arrest and we also hand over to the police. More especially those ones that are very close to us, the CPS and the Borokiri Division. By then, before the existence of Garkuwa, that zone called Yam Zone, it was a terrible place, a very hot zone. And that is where all crime being perpetrated, when somebody entered there, he escaped. He cannot be caught by any security agents. They kill, they snatch, and they rape. So, with the help of the Garkuwa Youth Organization, that place is being calm now. The area I want to discuss, I want to ask a question first of all, about this NDLEA. I know they are trying their best, but my question is this: were the NDLEA given the support they ought to have gotten from the government and the society? Were they given that support? If the support is there, I think it is a simple thing to eliminate this crime. Because the root of all this crime is the drug. And another thing I want to discuss here is that's taking of the drug. We have our big wigs, because that is where they benefit or they achieve their set goals by empowering this youth or initiating this youth into all these drug addicts, our big wigs. So, how do we terminate this drug completely? You see, it is impossible, because you have to clear it from the head. Because if you cut it from the tail, you cannot get it right. You have to clear it from the top. And what I'm trying to say, I want to make my point clear, because what I am talking, I know I'm saying the truth. Politicians are the problem. Our politicians are using the youth as a tool to achieve their set goals. When they are done with the youth, they waste them or leave them like that. And why our youth are engaging into all these things as a result of poverty. Maybe the parents don't have what it takes to bring the children up. Attention. Okay, go around our schools. Everywhere they call this. They call take over the schools. You either like it or not, they force you, they initiate you into such activities. You see, one thing again I like to discuss with my people. I say, don't allow somebody to make you go astray. Whatever or wherever you find yourself, you should be this is self-centered. You should believe in yourself that nothing lasts forever. So, you see, when the innocent ones are trying to build up themselves, they find one thing or the other being intimidated, either by the security agency and the rest of them. But when you see all these people there, they move freely. They own all the flashy cars, good homes, and whatever, and so on and so forth. They live freely. But you going after your daily bread, you end up being intimidated. Why? We should first of all ask ourselves that question. Why is it like that? Is it because I did not join those bad groups? Or is it because I am trying to build up myself? Where have I got myself wrong? We should answer ourselves that question. Okay, now, in every activities, the NDLEA supposed to go round everywhere. But as you can see, they don't even have enough equipment to do this job. And the society now, they are not ready to help, because by the time you expose, you see, before you get to your home, they are there waiting for you. Because now they kill anyhow, they murder people anyhow. So how can you put yourself into such danger? What is the guarantee if I should inform the security agency of crime being committed or crime committed at that very scene? What will be my guarantee? You know, they say the first. But now me, or the Gakwa Youth Organization, already we surrender ourselves. And I want to say it here. You know, at times, when you are in a gathering like this, you don't know who is who. But I will say it. We have so many places where these crimes are being perpetrated. And we alert the security agency, both the DSS, both the police. Like that our side now, they want to turn it to a zone of perpetrating all this illicit drug and abetting of the selling stolen handsets. When you go by that crowd by Creek Road, you find them there. They assemble there from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. I will make it known to the security. You know, we have limit of operation. Our own is to make peace between the community. And when you commit crime, we hand you over to the police. Not more than this, and we cannot go above that. So I really appreciate NOA because they are trying. They are trying. They stress themselves by spreading all this program. They take their campaign around the society, and they are capable. So for that, we thank the NOA, and we believe the security will also follow suit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We can see that you are really concerned about the issues raised. Thank you very much. While Mr. Mewada was talking, we were graced by the presence of the chairman of this occasion, His Royal Highness Emperor J.D. Ngbe JP, who is the One A. Alessa. Please, can we just have Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. You're most welcome. Thank you very much. While at that, we'll listen to the representative of Rivers State Ethnic Youth Leaders Council, Pastor Obehele John. Please put your hands together.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My able director, I'm very well, sir. All protocol duly observed. Actually, today we are talking about the issue of drug addiction, radicalization, and violent extremism. This fight or war or campaign against drug abuse and violent extremism must be consistent and fast in its approach if we must win. Sincerely, it's obvious and crystal clear that this menace is giving birth as a result of one, the failure of most of us parents in carrying out our parental responsibility. Parents, because every child is given birth by parents, and the Bible says, train up your child in the way he should go, so that when the child grows, he will not depart from it. Every one of us here, we grew up under parents. We grew up under parents. We never knew anybody as parent. We never knew anybody as neighbor or any relative or friend. But first of all, we all met our parents, and we learned from them. And if our parents must take their responsibility adequately, then the child will be properly informed and trained, and will go out of that which his or her parents. And that's why we stand out and also address the issue of crime in drug addiction or violent extremism. We must actually talk about the compromise of our security agencies. Our security agencies' responsibility of ensuring the enforcement of, if they should stand on their ground without compromising their duties, their responsibilities, then the issue of drug abuse. I have gone to places where you see even the security agencies are seated with these young guys in taking the same thing. You know, they collabo, they do the same thing, and they sure will carry adequate counsel on our fellow youth to see how this issue of drug abuse can be transmitted. Or a victim is arrested, you collect 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira and allow the person to go with the drug. It's not when you see somebody who is dealing with the drug and at the end of the day you are saying, the DPO said, where is your return? You have not got return this week or last week. So please, let parents, we all here are parents. Let parents take up their responsibility about 5,000 naira, 2,000 naira, or 10,000 naira, as the case may be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pastor John. Your concerns have been raised. Before we proceed, we would like to hear from our father, His Royal Highness Emperor Ngbe, who will just give us his take on the issue of drug abuse. That's it.
I'm deeply grateful to the distinguished guests for us. Many people are and friends on antisocial behavior in adolescence. Parenting practices influences children's behavior. The different parenting styles are traditionally been defined in terms of two dimensions, namely responsiveness and demandingness. Close relationship, support and communication on the part of parents, as well as setting limits of behaviors and supervision of what their child do or experience depending on their level of autonomy are positive for child development. Parents should take care of their children. In adolescence, the influence of family tends to decrease as the influence of friends increases. Antisocial friendships are parents can influence their children's friendship directly or indirectly. For example, parent decision can affect the type of friends their children will have. They can transmit attitudes, values, and abilities which mold and influence their children's behavior, social reputation, and groups they join. Parental monitoring is a protective factor for deviant peers. In addition, it is more likely for the children to spontaneously tell them about what is happening in their lives, what they do, and who they do it with, which makes it easier for the parents to exercise some control over their children's friendship. These two contexts, family and friends, can not only influence adolescents' antisocial behavior directly, but indirectly through their effect on certain personality traits such as impulsivity and lack of empathy, which increases the likelihood of behaving in an antisocial manner. Causes of antisocial behavior. Antisocial behavior can stem from a variety of factors such as poor education, idleness, lack of job, ill health, poverty, poor child development, family problem, violation of the girl-child rights and other vulnerable children, political thuggery. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as the leading agency in conduct election that is to be conducted in the country, politicians and political parties must also make sure in controlling their supporters on not to engage in activities that could truncate democratic activities. To stem the ugly trend of electoral malpractices, we humbly call for the introduction of the e-voting system and direct primary for political parties. Kidnapping. Our children must be directly taught against the unlawful seizure and detention of persons against their will. The actions of abducting someone and holding them captive should never be encouraged in our society. The Bible is against kidnapping. It says stone them to death. Are capable of destroying our futures, as there is no gain in taking such an act against a fellow human and states or in federation. Drug abuse. Excessive use of psychoactive drugs, strictly to only the medications by medical, remains an increasingly high threat. There is a growing global consensus on the fact that parties should be put on prevention to not only the responsibility of government, but a duty to all of us. Early intervention services can help prevent antisocial behavior and effectively teach children and young adults the positive behaviors that should be adopted, which they will carry into adulthood and provide a positive social impact on their local society. Finally, government at all levels must put agencies responsible for scoping the antisocial activities in the country, such as the National Drug Law Agency at all levels. Religious houses and traditional institutions must also build a process to curb societal menace as it is well.
Look at how much America is spending now to fight drug. You have the drug barons in Colombia, Mexico, and if you know how much money that the country of America is spending to make sure that these things are curtailed, the child you deliver, no dey hear. And you are so much happy that your child has made a name. I work very hard. I'm a teacher, but at the same time, those of you who are the teachers, you know that it don't pay us. It don't pay us. But I leave a name and gone to new engineering works. All those flowers seeds I planted them. Whisper. One day I ran into somebody who said, "Can you plant flower?" I said, "Yes." Give me people. Our primary school children want to even buy a limo. And you call them, he has made it. When you throw a name, he has made it to a boy who is not able to make it. What do you expect him? He will not kill you. Parents, the church, the home, the school, we have failed this country. I don't want to talk about the political sector because if I tell you I was in politics, I brought the party. When God said, this is not your home, I left it. We need to really look at ourselves and call it spade a spade. We can live here now and go back. It ends here. And if you are leaving, he said, don't listen to that pastor. Everything ends there. We have a duty to this country. Nigeria is not corrupt. The individual in this crop is the one that is corrupt. Some of the individuals. Why do you say Nigeria? Innocent land that is growing your food, giving you all your minerals. And you don't say this crop is corrupt. This crop is not corrupt. You in this crop is very corrupt. So let us not keep on talking about Nigeria is corrupt. Who is the policeman? The policeman is the man in the uniform you get to him. He has the blood and water, just like you. Give me a police unit I put. I'm a policeman. You know what I'm corrupt. So we have a lot to do. Dividing the country is not the solution to this country. Because God said we should be here. God said, I made you out of my image. I, from we are the children of God. I don't believe Muslim, I don't believe Christianity. In my house, my Quran is there. That you brought into discrimination that is destroying Nigeria. Why don't we unite? Amen. Here to amen now. You're fearing a country that God gave to us, fighting their mother in their presence. You're beating their mother like a football to give direct worship. What I give for you. How do you say you're a leader? Because we have no other home to go. We must pay billions. What? Blow off. Pipelines are blowing off. What of the economy hardship on the land, on the people? You want to blow pipeline? You want to blow? But the man you want to kill in the aircraft could be your snow brother. And somebody asked me, what flag is this? I told news agency of Nigeria. Now, if you see any Nigerian flag that is having a symbol of Nigeria on the side, it's not Nigerian flag. I don't know what they told them. Yes. So we have a very great duty. Let us behave like the canoe and the paddle. Canoe, you know canoe, you know canoe, isn't it? You know canoe? Yes. Fine. You know paddle? Yes. Paddle and canoe are always quarreling. Because canoe is always seated on the surface of the water, isn't it? Yes. Then when the sun is coming, on the not on the water side, on the side, all the sun will hit the paddle. But canoe is still having some cold water on it. Now, paddle now, canoe now say, call my dear brother, let us forgive every problem we have in Nigeria. Now, don't forget the past. The paddle say, don't forget the past. And don't forget whatever harm that any of us have done to this country today, or at the end of this year, and forget everything, both from primary school, secondary school, university, churches, and the imams everywhere, and let us move Nigeria forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. That was quite insightful from His Royal Highness. Please put our hands together for. While we might not be able, because of space, to all move at once. So whoever would want coffee, tea, just indicate. They will come to you and serve you where you are seated, so we don't have too much traffic. Well, we have heard from our father. I think they said father and children go together. So after hearing from our father, I think we should hear from our children who are here dressed in their beautiful uniforms. The first person is Community Secondary School. His name is Useful Kalabi. Useful Kalabi. Let's hear something useful from you, sir.
Say on how to end drug abuse. First, I'll be talking on let charity begin at school. Now, from the aspect of the parents, most times the parents are not taking responsibilities because in most cases, you see when a child leaves the house in the morning, coming back in the evening, the parents will not even bother to know where he is. All these things, you don't know the kind of friends you want to make outside and all these activities after the house. You know, most times, we children will pretend that we are at home, but when we leave the house, we go to do our own things outside. That is one. Now, I want to talk on the aspect of the security agencies. You see, most times, let me start from the police. They are supposed to help reduce this crime, but you see, most times they go to befriend all those people. All these people who are involved in all these crimes, the police go to befriend them. And you see, in our society now, we know fully well that if you don't have this type of violent character, you will not be known. Security agencies, most of them are afraid of them. But we that are ordinary people, they will abuse you on the way. If you are going, most times they just abuse you for no cause. But most times, I saw some group of boys snatching things from people. While policemen were there standing, they did not do anything about it. Most times, you see, it will trigger the other people to go and join those people, so they can have freedom and they can have they can be seen in the society because they want to be taking drugs. That's another way. So and befriend these boys because when they befriend them, they help give the other ones that are not their members. They give them the morale to go and join them so they can be friends with the police and do whatever they want. Okay.
A one-off scenario. That is the exception design. Wosu new design. Please put a new touch to this. Thank you very much, Wosu.
All protocols duly observed. My name is Mosuni Design Chimaru. I'm a student of Faith Baptist College. I work on a program that they call Getting Spray Accusation. That is nice, but the problem there is that after getting them skilled, jobs are not being provided for them. Those youths, what do you expect them to do? They're just being given little money, and due to the difficulties around them, they just spend it without having anything to place a hand on or any worthful thing to do. And some of them, it leads to radicalization. And we all know that radicalization is pressurizing the government through unlawful aids, using means by kidnapping just to get what we want. Government should pay attention to the people, to the youth, not only providing, like telling them